Just so everyone knows, we're going to record, and then I'm going to go ahead and start my presentation. But just before, I want to introduce myself since you've all introduced yourself. My name is Catherine Adams. I'm a senior admissions counselor with Global Experiences. I've been working with Global Experiences for over 3 years, and I work with all UCF students, along with many other universities that I work with. My job is basically to give you guys all the information that you need and to see whether or not you're a good fit for our program and whether or not our program is a good fit for you, and then help you with your application and try to get you accepted into the program. I'm also the liaison between Global Experiences and your study abroad office. So if you guys want to get credit or if you need to use financial aid or anything like that, like I can help you with all those things. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and start the presentation. If you have questions at any point, I'm gonna check the chat sometimes, but if you like have a burning question, just unmute yourself and interrupt me. All right, let me share my screen. This shouldn't be too long either. Oh, what am I doing? Hold on. Sorry, one second. Okay. All right, one second, sorry. Okay, sorry. Trying to get rid of all the other chats. All right, so as everyone knows, I work for Global Experiences. Today we're going to talk about international internships. Again, my name is Catherine Adams. I'm your point of contact if you have any questions or if you need anything regarding the program. So that's my email if you want to jot it down. You're welcome to email me at any point, or if you want to just like start an application or an inquiry, we can, I'll be the one to help you. All right, so what are we going to talk about today? We're going to go through the benefits of interning abroad. I want to talk a little bit about GE, who we are, and also how everything works. So generally speaking, I think it's kind of self-explanatory, like why an internship abroad would be helpful. It's very similar to a study abroad program, but instead of going and exchanging at a university, you would go and intern. So it's a full-time internship, at least during the summers. If you want to do something during the semester, for example, a virtual internship, that can definitely be more part-time. And we could talk about virtual internships later. So some of the benefits, it's full-time work experience in a foreign country. So that's obviously different from getting just work experience within your hometown or whatever else. You're building skills outside of the classroom. Piggybacking on that, you're bridging that gap between what you learn in school and what you're going to do professionally in the real world. You're getting intercultural office dynamics. This is actually huge. It's not just the things that people think about, like language skills, but people work differently, from the simple things like speaking different languages, but also to like different working hours or different mannerisms or a different type of etiquette. So things like that is really important to learn. And then most importantly, it's the impact on your resume and your future career. There is a statistic that there is less than 1% of college graduates have international work experience. The statistic for study abroad is still super low as well. It's like less than 15%. I think it's actually closer to 10%. So that's still a pretty low number too. If you're one of the few people who are able to study abroad, that's great. But if you can elevate it and do an internship, you're going to be at the top of your class and the top of like competition amongst your peers. You have to keep in mind things like you're not just competing against the people that you're graduating with, you're competing against people that graduated before you that are still unemployed, or the people that worked an entry-level job for 2 years that want to switch it up and they're applying for the same job as you. So competition is stressful, but if you're able to intern abroad, you're really going to like boost your resume. So you can read through this, what employers are looking for in 2020. It is also kind of self-explanatory, but I do think that things have drastically changed since the pandemic. So what employers are looking for now, I think, is going to be even more so of these soft skills. So flexibility, like adaptability, critical thinking, judgment. It's just things like that. But it's also things like being responsible, being able to be independent. Those are things that are going to be very important moving forward, which all of you guys at this point should be almost experts on, because we're so used to doing some virtual learning in some capacity. Okay, so a little bit about global experiences. I actually posted this on the Instagram if anyone saw it, but we were established in 2001. So we've been doing this for almost 20 years. And we focus strictly on internships. So we don't do quote unquote study abroad. You're not going and exchanging at a university, you're doing an internship. We are a division of AIFS, if anyone's heard of that massive study abroad company. So we are starting to combine some courses and things like that. But generally speaking, we focus mostly on internships. What's special about our program is we focus heavily on career and professional development. So we're not just sending you abroad to go work. We're really, really supporting you from start to finish. We're helping with your resume, your cover letter, interview preparation, a strengths assessment, a coaching call, all sorts of check-ins, and things to really help you have a successful, hands-on, practical internship, but being able to then actually use the skills that you learned in the future. We don't want you to just go abroad and have like the best 8 weeks or 12 weeks of your life, come back, and when someone says, oh, what did you learn? Or what did you do? You're just like, oh, and you have nothing to talk about. We want to make sure that this is like a really impactful experience. We do offer 24/7 support. There's staff support from start to finish. We do offer virtual and in-person options. And it isn't just all work. We offer social events and day trips. There's cultural events. We do all sorts of stuff. And so there is ways for you to make friends and have a really good time. It's not just like work, work, work. So these are all of our locations that we offer. You'll see we do have 2 domestic locations, which you are allowed to participate domestically. But otherwise, a lot of European locations. We do have San Jose, Costa Rica, Sydney, Australia, and then again, virtual, which we've been able to extend outside of our traditional locations. We have a couple people that are interning virtually with countries like in Africa, or I guess I should say companies in Africa, other places in South and Central America, and we're planning on extending things to Asia as well. I'll stop for a second. Do we have any questions? Let me see in the chat. Okay. So what can you do? The way that our program works is we focus on career fields. So you're not applying to one specific internship or one specific employer. You're applying for the field as a whole. These are our categories, I would say, but within these categories, there's several career fields to choose from. So business is obviously super broad. Within business, you can choose finance, econ, accounting, marketing. Within STEM, we have engineering, we have computer science, we have chemistry and biology, we have marine biology, all sorts of different things that you can do. Creative industries, like that would include like events, things like that, photography, we have fashion, we have everything. So the only thing that you really can't do, and by can't, nothing is impossible, but the only things that aren't really possible is things in the medical field. So what I mean by that is working in a hospital abroad as a short-term intern. You're not really going to be doing like nursing work or pre-med or like veterinarian work, no type of clinical work, because as you can imagine, what we do in the US, like where people do clinical type stuff, that those things are reserved for local students. They're reserved for people who have taken the coursework that's required, local certifications, things like that. So we don't really do those types of things. If you are a health major, or like pre-med or something like that, you can do public health, you can do research, you can do lab work, but you're not going to be like in a hospital setting. That's really the only thing that we can't do. Okay. So this is just a very quick overview of the dates and fees. That's obviously a huge range of the prices. $11,490 is the absolute highest, and that is kind of a big jump from most of them. So the semester programs range from $7,990 to $11,490. $11,490 is the London program. It's the most expensive. On average, the semester programs are like $8,000 to $9,000. The summer programs, $4,990 is the lowest. That's the San Jose program. This program, but the summer programs range between $4,990 and $7,990, and they average about $7,000 or $8,000. All UCF students get a $500 discount for being a partner university. Virtual programs are a totally different ballgame. The virtual programs are $1,500 for an 8-week program or $1,800 for a 12-week program. So those are definitely much more economical if you're interested in getting that international experience, getting your credit, but not physically going abroad. What else? There's no discount on the virtual programs. The $500 discount only applies to the in-person programs. There are scholarships, financial aid, all sorts of things that you can get to alleviate some of the costs. So definitely don't let this overwhelm you. Also we offer, if you're a Pell Grant student or if you are a Gilman Scholar, you do get additional grants. So there's all sorts of ways to get like discounts and grants and things like that. And your school certainly has scholarships and funding available as well. This is just kind of the general numbers and figures. All right, so how does everything work? How do you apply? It's very easy. This is our application. It's kind of a snapshot of it. You basically submit your form. It should take you 10 minutes at the most. The thing that might take you the longest is your uploading your resume and your program goals. Your program goals do not need to be perfect. It's not a formal cover letter. It's just obviously your goals for the program and then just like a little bit about yourself and what you're thinking you want to do. I will receive your application and you and I will speak. We'll set up an admissions interview, or we can do just an info session if you're not really quite ready. The point of the admissions interview is to go through your interests, choose a primary and a secondary career field. So as we discussed before, you can do, let's say, events as your primary and marketing as your secondary, something like that. In London, that's what you want to apply for. So you're not applying for one specific internship, you're applying for the career fields as a whole. I will talk to you about your specific interests within those fields, go through your resume together, make sure you're qualified for those fields, make sure the fields correlate with the location you're looking for. And if we need to switch things around, we totally can. If you are like very indecisive about where you want to intern, and you just put like Rome on your application, but you want to switch it during our call, that's totally fine. So my job is to help you guys figure out what you can do, where you can go, and then apply accordingly. So this is just a little bit more about how it works. So once you and I move forward with your application, it's to try to get you accepted into the program. Being accepted into the program is a guarantee of an internship in your fields. So again, if you applied for event planning as your primary and marketing as your secondary, if you're accepted into that, it's a guarantee of a internship within the fields of events and marketing. You do not know your specific internship at that point. It's just a guarantee in the fields. Sorry for being redundant. I just like really want to stress that. The next step is for you to enroll. In between enrolling and like getting started on our end, if you're looking to get academic credit or if you're looking to use financial aid, you need to work with your study abroad office as well. So if you're looking for those things, it's a simultaneous approval. You get accepted by us and you also need to get accepted by school. So, if you want, I can chat like who your contact is or whatever. You can go to the Study Abroad website and search for the program. It's pretty easy. You do need to get like approvals through a couple people through school, but generally speaking, I've never had anyone at UCF have any issues getting approved. It's just a little bit of a longer process when you go through the school, but that's fine. If you want to get credit, it's definitely worth it. Once you're approved on both ends, and if you don't want to get credit, you just work with me. You don't work with school, which is fine as well. You're allowed to do that. And you'll still get the discount even if you're not getting credit. So once you're approved, then you need to enroll. Enrolling into the program is by submitting a deposit of the first $1,000 of the program tuition. That confirms your spot, makes everything official, and we will start to work with you immediately from there. So just as a reminder, at that point, you do not know your exact internship. You just know that you're guaranteed something in your fields. This is because the very first steps that we have are your professional development. So we want to help you with your resume, your cover letter. We want to welcome you into the program. We obviously want to get to know you better. You're going to have your coaching call. All this stuff happens first before we're even going to start to present you to employers. We want to make sure like you're the best candidate possible. But then from there, it's pretty easy. We do all the hard work for you. We're going to submit your or present you to employers that we think are a good fit based on what you've expressed you're interested in, what they're looking for in an intern, what you're qualified for. And ultimately, we will set you up with an interview. So you do still interview. Interview is a very formal word, and I wouldn't stress too much about it because you're going through this program, it tends to be a little bit more informal, but we do this as a courtesy to make sure that everyone agrees it's a good fit. So at no point are we just telling you what you're doing. This is an opportunity for you to get to know the employer, make sure everyone's happy. But you should only interview once. The first interview is the best fit. If for some reason it's not the right fit and you want to move on or you're not offered the position or something like that, that's totally fine. You can interview as many times as you need to until you have a confirmed placement because you were guaranteed that internship. But typically it's very, very easy. People only usually interview once. It's informal. Everyone's happy. Internship is confirmed. Depending on when you enroll into the program, it depends on when your internship is going to be confirmed. If you guys are enrolling before the end of this semester, you are going to have your internship confirmed like early into spring semester. If you wait until like February or March, that's like total crunch time. And so the process, it's just busy. So it might take a little bit longer. The other thing too, is that you need to, we're working on the employer schedules as well. So it's not just about us and when we're ready. If there's an employer that's a really, really good fit, but they say to us, I can't interview this person for 2 weeks, well, then we're just going to wait 2 weeks, which is no problem. Does anyone have any questions? I know I'm talking a lot, so just want to make sure everything is clear. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and continue. We're finishing up soon. So what's included? The biggest things to note are what are not included. So your airfare and your food are your two biggest expenses that are not included. If you choose a location that requires a visa, which if you're a US citizen, the only locations that require visas are the UK location. So this would be London or Edinburgh, Scotland, or Sydney, Australia. The visa for Sydney is very easy and it's super affordable. It's only like $300 US and it's valid for a full year. So this is actually kind of a cool visa to get if you're maybe like a senior and you think maybe you want to stay somewhere long term. That's the most practical location. The UK visas, unfortunately, are pretty pricey. They accumulate to be about $1,700. So I can talk to you guys all about that kind of stuff case by case. But if you're looking for a more economical program, I recommend like any of the other European programs, or San Jose is the most economical at just under $5,000. No visa, no nothing. Everything else is, the reason why the visa is not included is because it doesn't go to us. It goes to the local government. We will help you with the visa process. So don't worry about any of that. You just want to factor in like the additional costs. Food is not included because you guys are in apartments. So you're not in a homestay, you're not in a dorm, you're in an apartment, you'll live with other interns. Most apartments, you have your own bedroom. Some apartments, you even have your own bathroom, which is really, really cool. But you guys have a fully functioning kitchen, so you're responsible to cook for yourself or eat out or whatever. But if you know you're not going to cook and you know you are going to eat out every single meal, you're obviously going to spend a lot more money. So just kind of factor those types of things in. The Virtuoso program is our virtual program. So you'll see these are some of the inclusions for virtual. It's exactly the same for in-person. So all of these career and professional development type things are all included. For in-person, the additional inclusions are, of course, your housing. The housing is a huge portion of the tuition. This is one thing that you can opt out of. So if you have a family member abroad or friends abroad, or you just like want to get an Airbnb or whatever, you're totally allowed to do that. And it would decrease the program fee significantly by like a couple $1,000s. So that's an option. Everything else is included. It's not a la carte. You can't like say, oh, I don't want to go on the day trip, so I don't want to pay for that. It's included whether or not you take advantage of it. Travel and medical insurance is included. The staff of pre-departure, there's staff in every location with you, 24/7 emergency support, and then the social events, day trips, networking events, all types of stuff, that's all included. Along with, of course, all of the pre-departure support. Okay, so this is a little bit about credit. I already touched on this, so I don't need to go through this too much, but Global Experiences also offers credit. I know before I said it's like not study abroad, but we do offer credit. It's online courses though. So if you can't get credit through school or you're having issues, you can try to get credit through us and have it transfer back. It's also usually cheaper than school tuition, although I know many of you get like Bright Futures and things like that. So our courses are $600 per course, but you can see GE 298 is up to 6 credits. So in theory, you could get 6 credits for $600, which is pretty good. Or you can just get credit through your home university, or you don't have to get credit. Okay. I'm going to go through this really quick because you guys don't have questions. So the very first question I get all the time, are the internships paid? Unfortunately, no, they're not paid. And this is why. You are either not on a visa or you're not on a proper visa. You're not on a working visa. So legally you can't get paid. Also, if you want to get into the details, it's really not worth it because you'd be paying taxes to the US and to the host country. So then you have to get a local bank account. You're going to get taxed. You're not really going to profit very much. It's very complicated. And for an 8 to 12 week internship, it's not worth it. If you were to try to get a working visa, you have to get sponsored by the company. It's like $10,000. So anyway, it's very complicated, but typically no, the internships are not paid. If your employer wants to offer you a stipend or like offer to pay for your lunch every day or public transport or whatever, they are absolutely allowed to do that and you can absolutely accept it. But in terms of you getting a wage, it's unlikely. So plan accordingly. If you're used to your summers being when you make money, start planning now. You can plan a year in advance, 2 years in advance, whatever, but just plan that it's similar to study abroad. You're not going to be getting paid. How can you guarantee an internship? I wouldn't move forward with an application that I don't think is a good application. So that's the very first step. Also, we wouldn't accept someone that we can't guarantee it. So if you're applying for engineering and you're a sophomore and you have no experience, I probably wouldn't even move forward with that. But say you have some experience, some coursework. If we're thinking, okay, this kid wants to do chemical engineering, maybe he can do it, maybe not. We just wouldn't accept you. So we would offer alternatives or suggest that you wait for a future program or something like that. Do I get to choose my company? No, not really. So what I was explaining before is that we do the work for you. We're matching you. So it's, if anyone's like gone through, like a recruitment process, it's kind of similar to that we present you to the employers that we think are a best fit and they can invite you back. So if we present you to 5 employers and 2 invite you back to interview and 1 is clearly better than the other, that's where we're going to set up your interview first. There's not really a reason for you to interview with multiple people. I know we have this culture of like trying to interview as many places as you can and seeing what you can get and getting the practice and all that. But in this program, it's really like we try to avoid that and we're trying to just make it as easy for you as possible. You also don't get a list of employers you get to choose from. But if you are adamant about, like after your first interview, you're adamant that you want to interview elsewhere, that's fine, but you're potentially forfeiting the first offer, if that makes sense. If you don't like your placement, so if even before your interview, you don't like your placement, you don't have to accept the interview. We usually encourage you to interview anyway because we are the experts. So we typically know that like you'll end up being happy. But if it's really not the right fit or the interview just doesn't go well, or you're not offered the position, or you just really want to move on, that's fine. We can present you elsewhere. If you're in your internship and it's not going well, like you're just hating it, which none of this should happen. But if it does, worst case scenario, we can always switch your internship. So if you're over in Ireland and everything is like awful and you're on week 3 and you're just like hating your internship, we'll obviously help you if we need to switch it. How many hours will I be working? Typically in the summer, it's full-time. Virtual programs are totally different. If you wanted to do a semester or even a summer virtual program, it could be part-time, which is as little as like 15 hours a week. Summertime, full-time, it depends on what industry you're in. That could be 9 to 5 every day, 40 hours a week. It depends on your location. If you're working in Barcelona, for example, they have a different work culture where maybe they work from like 10 to noon and then they take a 2-hour lunch and they go back from like 2 to 6. But generally that's a little bit of a shorter work day. So it might only be about 30 hours a week. Just depends. You'll know that before you accept your internship though. What will I be doing in the internship? Generally speaking, it totally depends on what you're looking for, what you're qualified for, and how things go. So if during your internship, you're doing a really great job and your employer's like, wow, this is awesome. Like, we want to get you involved in this other project or this other department. Your job could obviously change from what the original job description said. That's like the quintessential job description line that says other duties as assigned or whatever it is. So of course your internship could change a little bit, but what you're doing in your internship is tailored to you, your interests, and what you're qualified for. GEV, that's the virtual program. How will time zones work? Obviously, time zones are going to be something to take into account, and that's something that you can work out with your employer, like how your schedules will work. And then, can my internship be shorter or longer? I get this question a lot. It's like, the dates don't work, or I have to go home for a wedding for 2 weeks, or I have a final, so I can't start that week. The dates are pretty much set in stone. So you want to make sure that you're choosing a location or choosing a season that works for your schedule. We can start a couple days late or, whatever, but it's mostly just a disadvantage to you if you start super late, because the program price doesn't change and you're going to miss out on social events. You're going to miss out on the welcome orientation. Also, for the summer, we really don't encourage doing internships shorter than 8 weeks. That's already pretty short for employers. But yeah, no, we don't really offer like custom dates or anything like that. Okay, I think we're finishing up here. Lots of talking and no questions, which I guess is good. Let's see what's next. Okay, so now questions. I'm going to turn the presentation off so I can talk to you guys. So let me do that. Good. Thank you for listening. Hopefully that was helpful. Let me go through and just look at the majors again. So we have like computer science, game design, event management, entertainment management, mechanical engineering, aerospace engineering, health. Okay, so we can basically help all of you people. Aerospace is a little bit more niche, and as a freshman, I would recommend waiting. So for certain career fields like STEM, law, government, psychology, graphic design, I don't know, anything that like kind of fashion design, I would wait until you have a little bit more coursework under your belt or more experience. So what that means is like a prior internship, projects. It can be outside of school. It doesn't have to be like, it could be related to an extracurricular that you've done, anything like that. But you do need to make sure that you have a little bit of experience, because it is an internship. So you don't want to be in something that you're not qualified for. And also you want to make sure that you're going to be useful to the employer. So don't oversell yourself, because you don't want to get into a situation where you're underqualified and it's just like very stressful and, not enjoyable. Let's see, what's other things? And I can, of course, talk to everyone on a case by case. Let me put my email again in here, but I will help you with things that you need. Journalism students, you need writing samples. Any type of design student, you need a portfolio. Also for like law, those types of fields, you need writing samples. Engineering, you should have, well, any STEM related field, you should have at least 2 years of coursework under your belt, or be very open to what you're doing. Let's see, who else? Events, the event students, that field is, there's tons you can do. Oh, the other thing I wanted to talk about, there's different locations that are good for different fields. So there are certain fields that you can't do in certain places. So for example, if you want to do psychology in Italy, say you want to do like child psychology, you want to do counseling in Italy, and you don't speak Italian, you can't do that. Like you won't be able to work with people, you won't be able to, read files or translate or anything like that. So you can't do things like that without language skills. If you want to do government, you can't really do government in the UK right now because of Brexit. So there are some things that change year to year. Government used to be a really, really strong field in London, and now it's like non-existent. So a question, can we have an exchange program at a university alongside of an internship? If so, do we apply separately? Okay, that's a really good question. As I had mentioned before, we are a division of AIFS, and we are working to allow you to do an exchange program and then a virtual internship. So this is really cool. It's not set in stone yet, but say you want to go intern abroad in New Zealand and you want to do an internship simultaneously in London. You could do a virtual internship with Global Experiences and then do your exchange program through AIFS. If you want to do a program through UCF, it probably wouldn't work how you want it to work, or it'd end up being kind of expensive to do two simultaneous programs. But with the virtual internships, like that's always an option. You just have to note that you would technically be doing like a remote internship. Does that make sense? I don't know if that really answered your question. At the moment, the answer is not really, generally. It would be like you'd have to sign up for two separate programs. And so you'd be like paying UCF for the study abroad program and then paying Global Experiences for the internship. I guess you could opt out of our housing and that would make it a little bit more affordable, or opt out of their housing, but otherwise it would be a little redundant. So if we end up rolling out this program with AIFS, it's going to be awesome. We really want to utilize our resources, but at this time, we don't really have anything that exists that way unless you want to do a virtual internship, and then you totally can. Hopefully that helps. Sorry, I don't know if that really answered your question. All right, any other questions? You guys can also unmute yourselves or turn your videos on if you want to ask your question. You don't have to. I'm trying to think if there's anything I didn't touch on. Does everyone understand like the program fees, what's included, what you have to do with credit, how you apply, our locations, anything like that? So the question is the difference between virtual versus typical or in-person internships. There's actually not any major differences, which is really cool, besides the fact that you're working remotely. So when the pandemic hit in March, our spring programs were canceled. So we had to send back all of our spring students, and we were able to switch most of them to a virtual internship. So a lot of them stayed with their like original employers. The biggest difference is on the positive side is that it's way more flexible in numerous ways. It's flexible with your schedule. It's flexible with the cost. It's flexible with restrictions or like legality things. So to intern abroad in some locations, to physically go abroad, you have to be a full-time student in order to be eligible for visas. You have to sometimes be under the age of 30. You have to be getting credit, like those types of things. Certain citizenships are not allowed in certain locations. So for a virtual internship, all of that goes away. You're basically anyone's eligible, which is really cool. But it's really just the difference is working from home. I guess on the more challenging side is that you're not going into the office physically every single day. So it is a little bit more independent in that sense. You also can't do everything virtually. So what was your major? Let's see. Computer science. Okay, computer science is great to do virtually because you can do that. A field that's more challenging is was more challenging, but is now kind of becoming easier again as everyone is just used to this virtual world. Events was really hard to do remotely because there was no events happening with the pandemic. Now that everyone is kind of getting accustomed to it and there's online conferences and things like that, there are things that you can do. Another example would be psychology. So like counseling, or if you wanted to like go into counseling or therapy, that's very, very challenging to do as a virtual intern because of, patient privacy, data privacy, not being able to access things from your personal computer. You can't like sit in someone's therapy session, things like that. So those things are more challenging to do virtually. One of the positives of the virtual program is it's a lot more affordable. So if you wanted to do an 8-week virtual internship, it's $1,500 versus if you wanted to do an 8-week in-person program, it ranges between $5,000 and $8,000 essentially. So you're getting all the same benefits working remotely. You're still getting the international employer on your resume. You're still getting all the support from us. You're still getting like the networking events. We did really cool stuff over the summer and fall. We did like an employer panel, so you could ask some of our employers questions, and they talked about their experiences and talked about themselves and what they look for in interns and what you guys should do to promote yourselves and things like that. We did an alumni panel, so you guys could talk to our alumni and how the program benefited them and what they're doing now and all that kind of stuff, their takeaways. We did a panel with our CEO. We did like a virtual cooking class with our director in Barcelona. That was really fun. And a lot of people participated, which was really cool. So you're still getting all that kind of camaraderie and the support from us. It's just from the comfort of your home or wherever you have Wi-Fi. So if you guys decide you want to do a study abroad program and really like kill two birds with one stone, you could study abroad through school or through another program or something like that. And then you could work with us to do a virtual internship simultaneously, because it doesn't really matter where you are in the world. The only thing is that you just want to make sure you're not overwhelming yourself with work. Hopefully that helped. I know that was a very winded answer. You're welcome. All right, does anyone else have any questions? I know there was a couple people that joined late. This session is recorded and it will be shared, I think, on your Study Abroad's YouTube channel. So, but if you need to email me, my email is Catherine@globalexperiences.com. I'm happy to like share the presentation with you or just answer your questions. I'm happy to schedule an info session with anyone if you want to talk more about yourself and like your specific goals or questions. If you're ready to get started and you're just like, okay, this sounds great, I want to do this, you can go apply. So the website is globalexperiences.com. You can go to the top, it says get started. There's places that say apply now. So you can click on any of those sort of things. If you want to do a virtual internship, there's a tab at the top that says virtual. You need to click on virtual and then you need to go to apply. So it's 2 separate applications for virtual and in-person. If you mess it up, it's not a big deal. I can help you and fix it. But yeah, if you want to get started, submit an inquiry form, or if you want to just submit a full application, this is a good time to get started. I usually encourage people to try to have their plans solidified if you want to do summer 2021 by the end of this semester, which I know is like now. When do you guys, if someone can answer me, are you guys going back after Thanksgiving or are you doing finals early? If anyone knows the answer to that. The point is if you have, after Thanksgiving, it's online. Okay, so if you're not going back to school, like you might want to try to get in with your study abroad office is virtual right now as well. So it doesn't really matter, but the point is that you want to try to at least get started by this semester. So when you're home with your parents or you're home with your family, talk to them. I'm happy to talk to your parents if you guys want to do like a conference call or something like that, just to learn more. But definitely apply and try to get started before the end of this semester, because when you go back in the spring, it's going to be like mayhem. And obviously time is moving so quickly. I can't believe it's already like almost December. So it's not too hard to apply. Just get started. If you want me to connect you with your contacts at UCF, I'm happy to do that. Or you can just go to your Study Abroad's website. I think it's studyabroad.ucf or something like that. Anyway. All right. Any other questions? Anything I can help with? I don't need to keep you guys much longer. If you don't have any questions, you're more than welcome to hop off. And hopefully this was helpful. If you need anything from me, I'm happy to help. But I'll wait maybe 1 or 2 more minutes and see if any other questions trickle in. And then otherwise, I'll go ahead and let everyone go. You are welcome. Thank you for coming. You're welcome, guys. Hopefully that was helpful. Thanks for coming. All right. Looks like most people are hopping off. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for coming.